pouring rain again. I guess on a good note from that drone test yesterday, I think it's kind of safe to conclude that thing has been fixed, so that's a good thing. Who knows how long it'll actually last, just with how fragile that ribbon is, as you all know. Today is the federal election in Canada, so it's voting day. Most of my time will be spent just keeping track of what's going on, doing the voting and all that. For the most part, it's just voting for who is the lesser of all evils. Because again, with things like politics, I don't really get it, so to speak. With the stuff they argue about many times, it doesn't seem like they really focus on the issues I guess an average person would actually care about, like for myself anyways. It's not going to be the most entertaining thing, but again, I'm just going to keep track of, I guess, who's going to win in the election. I'm going to assume it's going to be a minority government overall. That's usually how it works, right? Basically, 1 year, everyone gets like the votes of the parties because they want change. Then a couple of years afterwards, it's the same thing. It's kind of like a seesaw back and forth. Although just from all the media headlines and stuff, it seems like it's coming down to two parties. Like this one here says, Canadian election results 2019, a live riding by riding map of the vote. It says, will Justin Trudeau's Liberals or Andrew Scheer's Conservative manage a victory? Will there be a hung parliament? Watch live as the results come in. So again, it's usually about those two parties. I guess for a brief history, it's kind of interesting looking at these pictures here and these diagrams. Like this one here says, how we voted in 2008. You can kind of see here, so it was pretty much, I guess, conservative. It says what, 143 seats to 77 in the Liberals. And then in 2011, apparently, I guess those conservative guys got even more seats. It says 166, but then you can see here, like it says, NDP 103, Liberals 34. What a change, huh? And then just like that, in the recent election, pretty much it's Liberals. Look at that, 184 to 99 Conservative. Pretty much with a big, huge change. It's like the country said, that's it, we just had enough, they just want change. Which is how I assume a lot of people voted, actually. Just thinking for myself, there honestly isn't really one candidate that I personally connect with. To me, they all sound like, quote, politicians. Basically, they have their own self-serving interests, so to speak, and they're basically pushing that. Just me as a regular person, all that, I didn't really relate to anybody, honestly. Like for me, I don't really see that forward-thinking person with actual practical solutions that should be easy to implement in many ways. Like for example, just with this voting process, to my understanding, it's still done in a dinosaur-aged way, where you go in, you use paper, pencil to cast your vote. Like there, why can't you just make everything digital? I mean, even for taxes, pretty much most people do it electronically nowadays as opposed to doing it with those traditional forms and all that. Wouldn't that actually be good for that topic of, quote, climate change and all that? Isn't that better for the environment to go paperless? Like, again, like to me, there's so much things that people could say they can do and actually implement, but I don't really hear much topics about that. To me, it'd be nice to hear stuff like that as opposed to things like, oh, this guy's horrible, she's a clown, etc, etc. So it's basically arguing about nothing like that. Parliament video of them arguing about the word fart, and I'm like, what's the point? Or I guess with making things like laws and regulations that affect the regular person, what are you doing to stop people from making regulations that they're not really, I guess you could say, fully aware of, and it's just based on, quote, nightmares? Again, I haven't really heard much about stuff like that. I guess in terms of things like, quote, nightmare scenarios, though, it's kind of interesting reading this. It says, drone collects runaway maintenance data at Edmonton Airport, fast approaching the point where drones are just a part of the regular flight operations at EIA. The drone, also known as a Remote Piloted Aircraft System, or RPAS, was collecting photos and data of the airport's more than 2 million square feet of runways, taxiways, and aircraft handling aprons, said in a news release from the Edmonton International Airport. The remote technology is being incorporated into airport safety inspections. Quote, RPAS technology is advancing quickly and is more and more useful to EIA. We are fast approaching the point where drones are just part of our regular flight operations at EIA. The information gathered by the drone will be used in the airport's annual assessment of its paved areas, in which it looks for pavements that is beginning to deteriorate. I think the key point there is how they describe it's basically just going to become part of the regular operations. Like, okay, just something flying around, capturing videos, collecting data and all that, as opposed to treating it like, oh my god, it's something flying with a potential missile or something like that. I mean, to me, when it comes to things just like the election and all that, that's kind of an important thing in general, where I personally wouldn't want some dinosaur Stone Age guy basically handling regulations or things that the person has no real first-hand experience of, to my understanding. It's more important to have that fresh, I guess you could say, blood and perspective. I guess it's like me with the drone. How many flights have I conducted? Did you see anybody die? Did I take down an airplane or anything like that? I mean, for the most part, again, it's just the way of life. Just like nowadays, just like with that, what, red flag car law before that you guys remember that we read about? I mean, so ridiculous just with how they treat it. Get off your car, push it when you see a horse and all that. It's just what it reminds me of when it comes to tech regulations in many ways. Of course, you gotta remember the positives too. Can't complain in general of everything, because I just know there's people in other countries that go through way worse. People could be in different situations where the stuff that we have, like people often say things like what, clean drinking water, they don't have elsewhere, so you can't take it for granted. But you try to do what you can. Just like with me, if I see people fear-mongering things like tech, being uneducated about it, I try my best just to use things like, for example, art to hopefully encourage people, hey, stop being so closed-minded. And then you hope that the people on the top that can actually make the actual change will actually follow through and all that. Time to go voting. Alright, voting all done. I guess I'll have to keep track of it tonight just to see who's going to win. I'm going to assume it's going to be a minority government just based on everything. We'll see how it goes though. It's probably going to be the archive for today too. Way too windy and rainy.
We'll continue moving closer to them. Every time the BQ and the NDP and the Greens pick up seats, that finish line moves a little closer.
It's held this rival with Denny Carradine, who won in 2015, but the Liberals are in second place right now. So just right there. And right now, at Vancouver, then, the Canoeists is at 46%.
In the overall night, the Conservatives had to make up something like 85 seats to catch the Liberals. They were at 95 and the Liberals were at 177, so they had to make up 8.
Zoom in right now on Vancouver Granville. Liberal Talib Nur Mohammed is leading with 4 polls in at 38%.
Today, the people of the Bows have decided to put their confidence in someone else. I accept with humility, and I want to congratulate the new member.
Who would have thought that they would have tripled the amount of seats that they won from 2015? We saw the Liberals and the Conservatives in their final push try to sway Quebecers away from the Bloc, saying that a vote for the Bloc would mean a vote for separatism. But in the end, that message did not resonate at all.
The map on the floor just give you a sense of what the country looks like tonight, in case you've forgotten, because we are going to be standing by for more speeches from leaders.
Parliament is going to have to somehow make this work. Even though the Liberals have such a tiny percentage of the popular vote, they have a minority.
So I mean, there are a few ways I think that you can look at that, whether tonight is a success for the Greens, or as Ian points out, I mean, it falls far short of the breakthrough that they were hoping for.
The vote. Talib Nur Mohammed has 26.3%, and so it's looking like Jody Wilson-Raybould may in fact win tonight. But Donna, I think I want to explain to our viewers that this may be a moral victory and that's about it. As an independent, she will not have any money that the caucus gives her. She might get one question a week in question period if she's lucky, depending how things work out. And there is probably no one more useless, I'm sorry to say, than an independent MP in Ottawa.
Wow, that's a harsh.
I would push back against that a little bit.
Fourth place, almost shut out Atlantic Canada with 1 seat.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to, like,
Thank you to all the volunteers that worked hard in the campaign office and who knocked on doors and put up signs. Joan Bayless, thank you so much for running a campaign while I was...
Well, we're all mystified here because Justin Trudeau has walked up on the stage and begun to speak at the same time as Andrew Scheer, leaving all of us wondering who we should listen to. And we've decided, simply because Justin Trudeau won 155 seats, so more than the Conservatives, we're going to listen to him. But really, this is unprecedented, and I can tell you everyone in this studio is shocked. So let's listen to Justin Trudeau.
I have heard you, my friends. You are sending our Liberal team back to work.
The Liberals win a minority, the 156 seats, but only won 33% of the popular vote, which I think, from what we understand, is the lowest popular vote for...
Lower than Clark, 34%.
Yeah.
That's the stat I have. So the basic takeaway there, that voters turned out, but in increasing numbers for the Conservatives, for the Bloc, and for the Greens.
Was as well Brian Mulroney, Jean Chrétien, Stephen Harper. He now joins all of those prime ministers as a prime minister, both elected and re-elected. So there was a historic continuity the Canadians decided to follow along with tonight.
All right, see you guys later.